So are they, I guess I'm trying to get a sense of how that works with, like you said, you follow what the governing body instructs as far as whether it's safe to go out and do the carts or go door to door or anything. But then because there are areas where they are doing it, are they disobeying the governing body, or did they just say, just follow your local?
Well, if it's allowed in the country, then it's okay. But
Okay.
if it's a problem in the country, and there's like you just take a look at now what's happening. They're opening up the things, and yet the ratio of cases is going up.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tell you? That tells you that you should start restricting. Wouldn't that be sensible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, just as far as like if they had put out a blanket, just nobody go out and do it, or if
it's the same with us.
So they're just saying obey, just listen to what your government is saying locally.
No, you see, because they're allowing things. They're allowing things here now in Canada when the ratios are going up.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not. Common sense tells us no. We're not going to listen to that because the ratios are going up, even though the government is allowing it. But in those countries where the government is allowing it and the numbers are low, then it's possible. You see.
I see.
So it's just reasoning things out.
So it's kind of an individual thing then, because like I know in Texas,
it's a common sense thing.
Like I know in Texas where the numbers are pretty high, there are actually some out at the carts.
I don't think so. Not that I heard.
Yeah, I've seen some local people doing some just out and about on the street, going, oh look, they saw some.
You were talking to people?
Yeah, well they were out at the. They saw some Jehovah's Witnesses with their cart. That's how they knew who they were. And then they came back later, and there were actually some Mormons standing there instead with their stuff.
Well, Mormons don't just go from door to door. They don't have literature cards.
They go door to door, and they also stand out on street corners and talk sometimes too.
Well, they do approach work, but they don't have carts.
They don't have carts like you guys do, no. But they have some literature though.
But if I could substantiate that with an individual, then I would believe it. But a hearsay, I don't necessarily believe it.
Okay,
anything.
Well, I can tell you I'm not lying. then you'll have to decide if you believe me or not.
Well, I think you don't know the person who said it, do you?
I've talked with him. I don't know him in person because he lives in Texas, but
it's something that you heard, and there's all kinds of talk, of course.
Yeah. But he was taking video, so so he was recording it when he was out.
Well, did you see the video?
Yeah.
And but even then, that can be misleading too, because it could have been taken at a time before and was replayed. So it.
Well, he's a Christian, so I don't expect that he would be lying. The video I was referring to was on the Jude 3 and Laura 2 channel. David and Laura had gone out for an appointment, and on the way there saw some women witnessing on the corner with a cart. By the time they were able to get back to them, there were some Mormons there. So they stopped by and witnessed to them anyway. I checked with David more recently to see if he thought it could have been Mormons there the whole time. He said it is possible. And fair enough, it can be hard to tell the difference sometimes, and the Mormons have been given fewer restrictions than the JWs have. Though Mormons don't have carts like JWs do, or at least not that I've ever seen or heard of. So in the end, we just don't know. For the sake of transparency, I wanted to confess that because I may have been mistaken about this when I was talking with my JW friend. It is possible that all the JWs were totally shut down by the summer of 2020. And now, here we are in 2022, and they're still totally shut down and even selling off some of their empty buildings. I wonder if they will ever go back to doing the countless hours of field service that they used to brag about constantly as proof that they're the truth.
Well, I understand that that our organization is not doing it, and I believe them too. You know, so and they've never lied, so I have to take that into consideration.
Did you hear my sarcastic There is so much I wanted to say at that point, but I was trying to stay nice, so I'll just say it now. They've never lied? She's lying by even saying that, isn't she? Of course, they tell her that's okay as long as you call it theocratic warfare. No wonder she must automatically assume everyone else is lying if that's all everyone does anyway. The only difference is that if you're a Jehovah's Witness, it's justified, right? What a horrible mindset to be trapped in. I do understand that she does believe every single thing that they tell her without question. So in that sense, I guess you could say she's not technically lying outright. More like ignorantly lying for them. But then, I don't think she's really all that ignorant about who they are. She just doesn't want to think about it. So, while there are times when I try to push her to deal with the organization and who they really are, I chose to bite my tongue in this particular instance. So with the meetings, I was wondering, because I understand they shut them down. Now, okay, this isn't something that I just heard as a rumor, so maybe you can verify. Something about them saying that they've put out some kind of word that they are going to be keeping the Kingdom Halls closed until 2022. Have you heard anything like that?
There's a possibility that that COVID crisis could continue till then if they don't have a vaccine till then.
Yeah, no, that's not, but that they actually have said
just,
for sure.
That is just a possibility. That's the warning.
Okay.
And that is not like a cutoff date or a starting date or anything.
Okay. You know? Okay. Yeah, because then somebody else was saying, I don't know, people have been talking about it too, and they're like, well, is it possible that that the Watchtower is going to be moving to like an online religion more? Because that, because you have to do just like the Zoom meetings, and if you can't meet in person for the next couple years or more.
Well, it's whatever the environment situation is, and we have no control over that. As I say, Satan is in control of this system, and he's fomenting these situations. So we're adjusting. It's just like our method of preaching has changed over the years continually. We used to drive around with sound cars that drove down the streets and taught and advertised the meetings and talked about what the meetings were about and stuff like that. And then there was we did witnessing with phonographs, portable phonographs. We did witnessing. We were one of the first ones that did witnessing on radio. We even had a radio station in Canada and in the United States.
Okay, so you could see it possibly moving in that direction where you just do.
So we have to move in whatever direction that we could preach the gospel about.
How would you feel about that, like for your personal situation?
I don't even think about it. I go with the flow.
You don't have any feelings at all about it?
No. I go with the situation, as I say.
Okay.
You may like it or dislike it, but you're maybe like a lot of people maybe aren't as comfortable talking on the phone as they are talking in person.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And that's a personal issue. So we all have personal likes and dislikes. Because that makes us interesting because we're not close of each other.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to see anybody from your Kingdom Hall since the shutdown?
I see them on Zoom all the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, but they don't, like, come by to see you or anything like that?
Yeah, I have, because I'm older, I have people contacting me and coming to the door and knocking and saying, or they'll phone and say, I'm going to drop by, and if you need anything, I can pick it up for you, and then they'll pick it up for me and drop it off at the door, and
okay, well, that's good.
and then I'll leave the money at the door the next time, and so yeah, we all look after each other.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I was just wondering, because I know it's a big change when you don't have your weekly meetings anymore and stuff, so it's...
Well, we do have our weekly meetings.
Yeah, just on Zoom, though. Like, you don't
Zoom.
actually go to be in the building.
Yeah, we don't go to the hall, but then we have the meeting, and then we can visit on online. We separate into chat rooms and converse back and forth with a smaller group, and go into another group. And
Now, I haven't actually used Zoom yet. What do you think of it? Like,
it's a super thing.
Yeah.
And it's not I would rather be at a Kingdom Hall, but
right.
Of the alternative, it's wonderful.
Okay, that's good, because I'm starting a meeting next week, though I have never used it before, so...
Well, we've been using it for almost a year now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, he was talking to a friend of his, and that is a Pentecostal, and he said that he asked him how he was, he says, I'm terrible. He says, can't go to church, it's just awful. He says, and that was the first week of the lockdown, and.
Sorry if this part sounds a bit choppy. She was sharing some personal information at that point, and I needed to cut it out for the recording. But I thought the story was interesting enough to try and salvage as best I could. I find it hilarious that she says the person in her story was a Pentecostal. There's really no way to know if that's even true, because she seems to call anyone who goes to church a Pentecostal. Anyway, at this point, the other person in the story, though not a JW, was basically bragging on her behalf about how the JWs have been meeting online all along. So the whole story is basically yet another Watchtower promotional, isn't it?
Doesn't have a problem. They're meeting online, and they've had no interruptions at all. And what they do? How did they do that? On Zoom. Oh, well, Jehovah's Witnesses, they sure know how to use technology.
Yes, you guys all have tablets, I think, don't you?
Yes, we have been working with tablets at the door for quite a long time. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's good to know about Zoom, because I haven't tried it yet, so I'll be giving it a go for the first time next week. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's a good option to try.
It's a wonderful thing, and it's really well used now. I see, because of course I see on the news the stock has increased by 40%.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
So it's a money-making stock.
Yeah. Well, yeah, businesses and all kinds of different groups are using it now for that exact reason. So.
Well, yes, businesses. They're saying that businesses will. This has changed the way businesses are going to be run.
Yeah.
Businesses are the future is that they're saying is going to be not office buildings, but people will be working out of their house and on getting connected on Zoom.
Yeah.
Of course, then that really brings out another whole kettle of worms, because of course then there's the issue of hacking.
Yes.
Because not that we as witnesses are concerned about that, but businesses would obviously be concerned.
Yeah, anything where there's
so they would
financial.
Have to. They would have to then. Because that's the way way technology is. If there's something done to as a firewall, there's hackers who can get around that, and
Yes.
then technicians will make an improvement on the firewall and say this is safe, this is safe. There's hackers get around that too.
Yeah, that's what they're always trying to do. Yeah.
So there's no safe thing that is foolproof, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's going to be a concern for big business, you know.
Yeah.
For the little businessman, it wouldn't really bother him that much, but
no. Well, I guess it depends. You know, if he doesn't have to do the meetings and that kind of stuff with other people, then he wouldn't have to worry so much. But yeah, anybody that has to be connected online. He
wouldn't have to worry about like patent stealing or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the big corporations, of course, wouldn't do that. Wouldn't have that worry.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
And you see, that's Satan's world. You see, why would somebody want to hack something when they don't know what they're hacking into? But they do it just for the sake of
for fun,
fouling up the system.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because most of these hackers are very young people who just play around with a computer.
Yep, that's true.
And that is, you know, Satan's system. That's the air we breathe now, you know. Whereas when after Armageddon, Satan's going to be not around, and all his evil hordes too. So there won't be that influence.
So what was it like for, this is another personal question, so if you don't want to go there, that's okay. When you were younger, because you've lived through, and I find this so fascinating, you've lived through a lot of different times that are very different than the times we're living in now, right?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Just when it starts to get interesting, I'm afraid I have to cut this part out because we did get into some very personal details that would not be appropriate to share online. As an older lady, I'm really interested in her story and all that she's lived through in her life. I also want to try and get her outside of her current mindset and thinking about life before she was so completely wrapped up in all things Watchtower. I really appreciated this part of the conversation because it gave me a window into her life and her history. And I think she appreciated being asked about these things too, because I don't know how many younger people these days care to talk with someone about times gone by from their perspective. Although I can't give you details, I can tell you that she has lived a very interesting life, and I've learned a lot about her that day. So I think it was really cool that she was willing to open up and talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and in comparing, you know, as I say, now that we're talking and comparing, you know, the years back and up to the present time, it has not improved, has it?
No, our culture is definitely taking a nosedive. There's no question. It's yeah, and it really, you can see the line that it has been for a long time, that people have been rejecting the standards of Scripture more and more. And whenever you see, you know, a culture or kingdom doing that, then eventually God's wrath resides on that culture and it gets destroyed. Just like we saw with Babylon and with the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, you know, that's kind of the direction it goes in. And I've been saying that for years and years now. That's definitely where ours is going, very fast when you look at the way that sin is being embraced.
Up, yeah. And that goes along with what the Bible has prophesied, you know, in the book of Daniel.